All right, quick gut check. What AI tools have you guys been using this week? How many was it? Was it ChatGPT, Claude, a video model, Midjourney, Canva, maybe a voice tool like Whisperflow? So you're bouncing between tabs, copying out from one and then pasting into the next. I mean, that's like something a lot of us have to do. We've been playing that game for, let's say, 2 years, but this week the game ended, and it ended because, 6 things landed that are starting to bring things together. And this happened over the last 7 days. So a memory upgrade, a design collapse, a video shakeout, a search rule change, and a copyright bombshell. And a big 4 firm is betting its reputation on AI. On their own, each is definitely, it can be its own headline, but together they're saying the same thing, which is the people winning with AI in 2026 aren't chasing the best tool, they're orchestrating systems. So let's get into it and let's see what you guys think. Stop chasing tools, start orchestrating systems. Here's the whole idea in one slide. On the left, you've got app hopscotch, dozen tools, arrows everywhere, and you as the human glue are carrying the files between them. And on the right, is 4 stones. So orchestration and ideation, scaled production, distribution and SEO, governance and protection. 4 systems, not 12 tools. Everything that happened this week slots into one of these 4. So the question stops being, what's the best new app? And becomes, how strong is my system in each of these 4 areas? So keep the 4 stones, in your head, and we're going to fill them in one at a time. So the memory moat, ChatGPT Dreaming v3. So we start with an ideation. This week, OpenAI rebuilt ChatGPT's memory. Internally, they call it Dreaming. It now carries context across sessions, in the background, your audience, your tone, your camera setup, your recurring formats, whatever it was you were working on. Its reported factual recall jumped to around 83%, up from the high 60s where it used to be. So in practice, there's a lot less, rebriefing. Your second draft starts faster than your first, and you don't have to keep asking it to go back to your memory. But there's, there is a red stone here. The same memory will happily pull a confidential client brief into a personal profile. And one study actually found that roughly around 96% of these memories, well, they're actually created by the AI on its own. So, you didn't tell it to go do that. So it's not asking, right? So the move is simple. Basically persistent memory for your own workflow, right? But temporary chat for anything else, client confidential stuff. So next, let's talk about production. And the wall between having an idea and making it, just fell. So design tools are moving inside the AI assistants themselves. Lots of agents coming out, a lot of connection now. Canva now creates and edits real on-brand designs right inside ChatGPT, and Canva and Adobe are wiring into Gemini, same way, right? Through a connector, standard, which of course you should all know by now, MCP. Right? So you describe a deck and it builds it. You say, strip the jargon from every slide and localize this for APAC, it can do it. You might need to jump back and forth a bit, but every slide updates while the layout holds, right? So what this means for you, if you're a non-designer, an account lead, a strategist, a one-person shop, you can now produce the first pass, on-brand mock-up yourself, right? In the chat in minutes. And of course, the design team then stops being a bottleneck for rough cuts. And then they can go back to the high value work, or they can take your foundation and build on it. Honest caveat, like AI-based images still hallucinate, right? But this gets you a strong draft. Maybe not a final deliverable, but it's still quite amazing how fast you can get to your base draft, right? So here's the proof this isn't just creator toy stuff, right? We've got KPMG, a big 4 firm whose entire product is trust. Just put Claude in front of all 267,000 of its people across 138 countries, embedded right inside the secure platform they already use, for client work. So their own tax leader said building a compliance agent that used to take weeks now takes minutes. And OpenAI's Codex expanded out of pure coding into role-based knowledge work. So creative production, sales, analytics. So, why do you care? Why would you care about this? Because the consultancies advising Visa, Barclays, Workday, or whoever your client is, are now operating at AI native speed. Weeks to minutes becomes the baseline expectation for everyone they hire. The bar just moved. And nobody asked your permission. From single prompt to multimodal pipeline. Same production stone, bigger idea. So 11 Labs launched Flow's agent. You describe a brief in plain language, and it builds the whole pipeline. So, it picks the models, wires the steps, and chains the image, video, voice, music, and lip sync into one repeatable system. Look at this slide, basically. One script branches into a Singapore voiceover, a US social cut, a multilingual lip sync version automatically. This is the real shift. Basically, production value used to live in generating one beautiful asset. Now it lives in architecting, architecting a system, the 20 brand variants. For anyone doing localization across ABAC, that's the whole ball game, right? The skill stops being make the thing. It becomes design the line that makes the things, right? So just that idea of localization and getting things out to the different markets from, one idea. Video AI duopoly, right? So Sora open headline model, it's sunsetting. The API shuts down in September. So the market split into a duopoly. You can actually reach, through aggregators like Runway, Kling 3.0 is your Hollywood backlot structured, right? Multi-shot control, 4K, the pick for cinematic continuity on a hero brand film. And then you've got things like CDance 2.0 in your social studio. It's fast, it's multimodal, native audio. Here's the part nobody's, selling you a single tool will admit, that you don't pick one. The winning setup is going to probably be something of, same prompt through every model. So, CDance, probably Kling 3.0 is probably going to take you there. And an aggregator, a single generation can cost, well under $1 versus a videographer's day rate. Which means your real skill in 2026 isn't generating, it's selecting and directing, right? Just because you can. That doesn't always mean you'd want to, but the capability is there, probably somewhere between CDance and Kling 3.0. So now distribution, and the rules of search just changed. Impressions only, no click data yet. So this is, coming. It's not live for us today, but the strategic shift is going to be permanent, right? You can rank number one and still be invisible inside the AI answer. So the new metric isn't traffic. It's, it can be share of voice inside zero-click answers. So for a Workday or a Visa, there's a brand new QBR conversation, and we are being cited. Are we being cited by the AI? And which of our gated high-value IP should we deliberately block from being scraped? This could be something that comes up, right? The escalation of forensic copyright warfare. So governance, right? And this one's a red alert because there's a lot to, for example, Suno, the AI music platform, just raised $400 million at a $5.4 billion valuation. Looks safe, right? Now, but it isn't, because Universal and Sony are suing, and they used forensic audio fingerprinting to identify over 61,000 of their copyrighted tracks. They're sitting in Suno's training data. Then Suno went to court to keep the size of its dataset secret. For a regulated client like Visa, Barclays, that makes unlicensed AI music an intolerable liability. The mandate is simple. No unverified generative audio in client deliverables until licensed models, actually ship using cleared libraries or commissioned music. I made it in Suno is not the same as, I own a clean, licensable track, right? Of course not. Commercially usable versus commercially defensible. So still on governance, the legal signal of the week, right? A bipartisan bill called the Creator Act, backed by Adobe, It would create a federal right protecting visual artists from AI that commercially impersonates their style. It's not law yet, but the direction is unmistakable, right? Style cloning is moving from a gray area experiment to genuine legal and reputational risk. Commercially viable is not the same as commercially defensible. The fact that a model lets you type in the style of a named living artist doesn't make it safe to ship. So, you got to be careful. So tighten your prompting rules now. Ban named artist style cloning in client work. Document your provenance and turn a compliance headache into a trust pitch, right? Basically, your clients need to trust you, yeah? The prompting to ecosystem orchestration. So pull back and here's the synthesis. Notice what every one of these stories has in common. The hard syntax memorizing part of AI is collapsing, right? Conversational modes and integrated workflows killed the barrier to entry. So the human creator no longer stands at the start of an assembly line, pushing buttons. You sit at the center of the ecosystem. Could be Claude, Gemini, Kling, 11 Labs, all orbiting you, which means your value just moved up the stack. It's not prompt wrangling anymore. It's art direction, narrative judgment, strategic alignment, and IP governance. The taste and the calls a machine can't make, that's the job now. Next slide, the 4-step agency adoption plan. So what are you doing Monday morning? 4 moves, 1 per stone. Okay? 1, audit your AI search visibility, right? Start a baseline of where your top clients show up in AI answers. 2, standardize a dual video pipeline. So this could be Kling for cinematic continuity, CDance for fast social, or things like fight scenes or whatever, both through an aggregator. 3, enforce governance. Written rules, banning named artist style cloning, and unlicensed audio in commercial work. 4, lock in temporary chat protocols. So confidential briefs never bleed into a personal AI memory. 4 stones, 4 moves. Take 1-hour orchestration challenge. Take 1 real but sanitized client brief this week. In 60 minutes, do 3 things. Build a localized pitch deck draft inside Canva, the Canva ChatGPT or Gemini chat. Generate a structured project timeline using Codex role plugins, and map a multilingual short-form variant set in 11 Labs flow, and then time it. Because the goal here is measuring your AI skill. So not by just how cool one image look, but what actually matters now. How fast can you architect speed, consistency, and compliance? So please check us out on Creator Weekly, where we do a weekly, email blast, kind of covering the big news for creators. And you can find that on Click to View. You can sign up there or on Substack as well. Thanks so much for watching AI for Creators. Hope you guys got something out of it. Please let us know in the comments. There's a lot going on and a lot changing and learning along as well. So hope you guys got something out of this. Have a great week.